Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Every day there are countless books and articles that are published offering the key on how to make your business a success. It's easy to feel overwhelmed trying to keep up and run your business. That's why Deb Creer created the Business Power Hour. Keep up on the latest trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. Let the Business Power Hour do the heavy work for you.
Good morning, good morning. I am Deb Creer, and I am passionate about giving professionals the tools that they need to make themselves and their businesses as successful as possible. And today, we're going to have so much fun. We're going back to my roots. We're going to be talking about marketing. And I love talking about marketing because every business needs to be doing it, and every business is not quite sure what the heck they're supposed to be doing. And I don't care if you've been in business 20 minutes or 20 years. These things are still very confusing. And so we're going to have a great time today talking to my guest, André Rosdahl. So welcome, André. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Deb. I'm
Perfect.
really excited to be on the program.
I love it. Well, let me tell people a little about you, and then we'll jump into this. So André Rosdahl has a fascination with using data to make storytelling decisions. He has a wealth of experience in both digital marketing, strategy, and execution. Synthesis Insights was created as a lead generation agency focusing on SEO and digital advertising and has evolved into a mid-size B2B marketing agency that focuses on helping clients reach specific and measurable goals. Those are the key words right there, folks. So again, André, welcome.
Thank you.
Great. Well, I always like to find out from my guests how it is that they got to where they are today. So tell us about how you discovered that this is your passion in life.
Yeah, growing up, my father was an entrepreneur, had a lot of different businesses. So I think just being exposed to that side of business really gave me a passion for helping other businesses. So, after college, I started working in television advertising, where I was on the pricing and analytics side. So I was pricing out commercials and making recommendations for specific advertisers, so that way they made sure they got the best bang for their buck. And that experience was really great. I got to experiment with kind of pricing psychology, where I was looking at, if I create 3 different packages, how can I price these differently so that way we can think about things differently? But as I grew in my career, I wanted to continue to grow, and television was changing, and I was seeing all these sales folks making a ton of money at my organization. I said, well, maybe that could be me. So I started studying what they did, and they weren't any smarter than me. They weren't any more talented. It was really just they had great communication skills. So I studied what they did, and then learned as much as I could about digital marketing and kind of ventured off into that world. I started an agency with a business partner, and we focused primarily on social media marketing for small businesses. And since then, I've started my own business, where I've really focused on kind of the tactics that I focus on are SEO and digital advertising, but it's also creating strategies and getting back to the roots of classic marketing. So that's kind of where I'm today.
I love that. So let's talk about classic marketing and really what that means, because, I see it, you see it, we all see it. People go with the flavor of the month, and they forget that there really are some basics to marketing. So walk us through those.
Yeah, every time I start working with a client, I really focus on providing specific measurable goals for them. So I ask them questions like, what are your key performance indicators for this? What do you want to accomplish? And a lot of times they don't know.
Right. They give you
Exactly. And that's a big problem.
Right. Or they're very vague. They just say, we want more clients, we want more sales, we want more. I mean, you don't want to decrease, right? But yeah, it's just more, but it's this nebulous, in a perfect world, more.
Exactly. Yeah, I want more brand awareness. So yeah, I want more clients, but it's really breaking down the basics of, okay, let's reel it back even further. Do you have buyer personas? Do you have customer journeys?
Mm-hmm.
No? Okay, this is a great opportunity
Mm-hmm.
to really think about kind of why you created your business.
Mm-hmm.
What is the purpose of it? Because I think
Mm-hmm.
what I see with the business owners and marketing professionals of all sizes is that they get hyper focused on their product
Mm-hmm.
and what it does, the features. Is it's super fast. It provides
Right.
this amount of
Mm-hmm.
benefit, but they forget kind of why it was created. What problem are you solving?
Mm-hmm.
So when I mean classic marketing, it's getting back to, okay, you have this product. Why did you create this
Mm-hmm.
product? Who is it helping?
Mm-hmm.
What do those people care about?
Mm-hmm.
And then
Does
we kind of
anybody
build up the
even
strategy.
care?
That's true. That's very, that's also a good exercise for myself and my team and other marketing agencies. Is this going to be a winner or is this going to be a struggle?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and sometimes you have to dig a little bit deeper to find out if it is going to be a
Right.
winner.
Right. I always think about things like pet rocks. You're not old enough. Where people bought rocks. They didn't
Mhm.
even have anything painted on them. They were rocks. And I mean, lots of people bought pet rocks. They gave them as gifts. I mean, it was just, but somebody made lots of money off of this. And then you look at Google, the big guy
Mhm.
who really should know what the heck is going on, who has tried multiple times and I think has finally given up on
Mhm.
launching a social networking, social media platform. And it's I think in all of those cases, people had absolutely no idea. Did somebody want the product? And
Right.
honestly, who wanted a rock? But lots of people did. That was what was so bizarre
Yeah.
about it. But from the perspective of Google, people didn't want a different social media platform. They were
Mhm.
happy with what they had. Now, the
Right.
funny thing is, since then, of course, we've had TikTok, we've had, all sorts of other things that have launched. So, what the heck? How did they do it differently?
Right. So I think it comes down to a lot of testing, and that's probably one of my favorite things in marketing is that you have the opportunity. We have theories about what people want,
Mhm.
but we don't always know, and there may not be a ton of research on it. Someone may not have done it before.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of ways that you can run these tests, whether it's focus groups or maybe it's a paid advertising campaign, to see if this is a good idea in the first place before you kind of go down that long path. But yeah, I think that's the fun part is figuring out what is going to
Right,
work.
right. Yeah, I think, in the example of Google, they assumed that their name was going to be, people would go, oh, this is from Google, therefore we must like it and we must do it.
Hmm.
But in say TikTok, now I'll be honest, I don't have a TikTok account. So this is just kind of, but it is different. And so that's what attracted people to it was they went, okay, this is not Facebook. This is not like it's
Hmm.
not even Instagram or things like that. It was different.
Right. Yeah, I recently ran through a customer journey with a client, and we were looking at kind of the three stages of sales and marketing. We have awareness, consideration, and decision and purchase. And within all those three stages, we were looking at a specific customer segment of them, kind of what they were thinking about during each stage of the process, and then what actions they were taking with the brand and how we could create opportunity from that. And it was so eye-opening to them. They were like, wow, I never really thought about this from my target market's perspective. And it just was like a total mind shift. Then, well, I do things this way. I like to research on Google first. Whereas their client was, they were a farmer. They're not doing research that way. It was completely different where, they wanted to interact with people on the phone. So, a chat function is not the best way to communicate with them on the website. So it's we have a lot of these assumptions, and I think we know which ones are going to work, but taking the time to actually really think about it and empathize with your target market is so valuable, and it creates so many great insights.
Right. And let's talk more about that customer journey, because I think it's exactly true what you said. We assume we know what it's going to be like, because that's kind of how we probably put it together in our head. This is needed,
Right.
therefore. And so tell us how you kind of work with somebody who's developing, say, a new product or service,
hmm
and what that customer journey would entail.
Yeah, so it starts with a pretty brief survey of questions about their target customer. We kind of create that avatar. So it's bringing life to them. It's asking, age, all those kind of demographic questions, but then also some psychographic things too, about really what's important to them. Because at the heart of it, right, I'm more analytical than I am emotional, I think. But we all make purchases with emotion. That's something that I've had to learn over the years, is that the best way to kind of get someone's attention is emotionally. So making sure you capture all those things too. And then it's going through each stage of the process, right? And the biggest thing that I've seen is we tend to jump too quickly to these secondary and third stages of the process, where you might think a client is in that consideration. You might think the client is still in the awareness stage, but you're already pitching your product. They're not even aware of that they have a problem yet. So it's reaching them kind of before they even know about your product, obviously, and then educating them on how to solve a specific problem before you move on. That's an area that I've really seen a lot of opportunity, because if you start pitching someone too quickly, they're going to be turned off. So properly kind of funneling them down each stage, and providing a lot of education, providing a lot of value before you start selling them has been really valuable.
Right. And it's so important to understand really what is important to them. I believe it was Volvo, when they were doing a lot of their advertising. They didn't talk about how fast it could go from 0 to 50. They didn't talk about Corinthian leather seats. They didn't talk about any of that. They talked about the safety features, because they knew that their target market were mothers, and that was what the moms cared about.
Right.
Is this safe for my kid? Okay, I want the blue one.
Yeah.
Because that was the emotion part. I want the blue one. But yeah, and I think that's where we get caught, because we think we know what's important. So we might think, okay, this lady is going to care about, how many kids she can get in there, how,
Right.
all those, how many cup holders there are. No, I want to know, if my car gets broadsided, what's going to happen.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And it's just getting back to, why did you create this product? It's not how fast it was. It was providing something that's going to make you feel safe. In the case of Volvo, and they nailed it. And I think we still have that perception of the brand today.
Right.
What, 30, 40 years later? Pretty amazing.
Right. And same thing with like minivans, and all of those. I mean, they certainly didn't position them as woohoo sporty, right? Because they're not woohoo sporty. They are family vehicles. And, so when they show, okay, you can get 7 kids in there and a dog and, all of those various things, that's where, that's the selling features.
Absolutely. And then additionally, it's creating that trust. How do you create that? Because that's another thing that I experienced when I was watching these top selling professionals, is how are they doing it? What makes a successful salesperson or a communicator better than someone else? Well, what do we like? We like trusting people. We want to work with someone that we trust. So thinking about ways that you can create that trust, whether it's testimonials or if it's, interviews with people. There's a lot of different ways to create that digitally. And I think sometimes we assume that people are just going to trust us for whatever reason, because we're a
Google,
brand, but
they're going to trust us because of the name. Well,
exactly.
maybe not.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And I think we see that all the time when, especially established products, have something new. So you've got the name brand,
Hmm.
and it comes out, and a lot of times I think, well, that's a totally different product line. How do they even know about it? And if it's kind of one of those things where if I'm wondering it, I'm probably not unique. So, how was it that? Sorry about that. That that they came to those, and again, it comes back to knowing who it
Hmm.
is that you're marketing to.
Absolutely.
Cars are a great example of that, because we all like to think that it's the guys, especially the
Hmm.
salespeople, right? I hate it when I go to buy a car and I get ignored.
Yeah.
And my husband has been known to tell them this is her car. I mean, like, the last vehicle we bought was a pickup, and it's my
Yeah.
pickup. You talk about being ignored. I mean, they could not get it through their head that he was just there to be there. And the pickup was for me. And so, but there's a vast majority of decisions of anything are made by women. And I think that is the one
Hmm.
thing that, people, especially, even if it's a male oriented type of product, it's still, the wife, the spouse, the sister, the daughter, the whoever that
Yeah.
says, what about? Or just, no, you don't need another one of those.
Hmm. Yeah. And I've worked with a lot of clients in the home improvement space. And we create these personas. I ask the business owner, yeah, who's your target market?
Mhm.
And they're like, yeah, men 35 to 64 that have, income of
Right.
150,000 plus.
Because it's an appliance and it's silver and
Exactly. Maybe because they're making, and I ask them, what makes you think? Well, they're the ones that are paying for it. They're the ones that are making that.
right.
They're putting down the credit card,
Mhm.
and it's taking that step deeper of,
Mhm.
well, how did they get to that
Mhm.
decision? Did they make that decision on their own? I don't know. Maybe we should dig a little bit deeper into that. And then you do some homework, and you find out, no, it's absolutely not the man making that
Right.
decision. It's women behind, that want
Mhm.
to push this forward. So again, it's doing that, taking that extra step to really understand your clients.
Right.
Um, and on that point too of, brands that just make a product out of nowhere, I think about a lot of businesses that I work with, and even my own business where I've, um, you know, as a starting up as a business, I wanted to offer every service under the sun, and
Mhm.
it just it was great, because you have the time and you think you can
Right.
do all these things and you want to
And
take
you
the
think
money.
everybody needs it, so I'll offer all of it.
Absolutely. And and then I started doing full website designs, and I was, I had developers on my team, um, and I realized, wow, I really don't like doing this.
Mhm.
And it's not as profitable
Mhm.
as I thought it would be. It's the results.
Mhm.
It's actually kind of, the results are affecting my core
Mhm.
business. So I had to take a step back and think about, okay, what am I really good at?
Right.
What do I want to be known
Mhm.
for? And how can I provide, most importantly, how can I provide my clients the best level of service and get them the best results? And it was
Right.
focusing in areas that myself and my team were best at. So
Mhm.
ditching
Right.
some of those products,
Mhm.
and knowing how to brand myself.
Yeah, unless you're a gigantic company, you're not a one size fits all. And even the
Right.
gigantic companies are not one size fits all. You look at something, say, like Walmart. I mean, they
Hmm.
know that, they have a very good people in mind as to who they're selling to. And so they're not selling the high end items. They're not
Hmm.
selling high priced items. You're not going to walk into a Walmart and be able to buy a pair of I just the name went out of my head. You're not going to buy some Dolce Gabbanas or anything like that.
Yes. Right.
It's just not going to happen. If you
Yeah.
want that, you're going to go to Nordstrom's, you're going to go to Neiman Marcus, and in Neiman Marcus you're not buying Hanes, right?
Hmm.
um
Absolutely.
so yeah, so they know who they're marketing to.
Yeah. You even go back to the car example, you look at
Mhm.
Toyota, and
Mhm.
if they were to release, a luxury vehicle, we'd be
Mhm.
like, this doesn't really fit. So
Right.
what do? They
Mhm.
create Lexus, and they start
Right.
that
Yeah.
branding from the
Mhm.
ground up. And,
Mhm.
obviously the success
Mhm.
has been
Right.
tremendous. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
we know we're really good. We're really good at SEO and we're really good at digital advertising, and we've kind of narrowed in our target market now. And it's just the positioning and the sales process has been much smoother because there's that confidence when you know what you're good at, and your clients they believe it, and the results have been great.
Right. And I talk about this a lot on the program, especially when we're starting out. It's hard to say, okay, we're going to sell to A and not to B, C, D, E, F, because we think we're leaving money on the table. And potentially we are, because, M might want it, they might want that. But we're saving our money by, and our time and our efforts. Back to like the car commercials, and I always get a kick out of advertising on TV, and since that's your background, we'll be watching a TV show and I'll think, I'm in, this demographic doesn't make sense.
Right.
Why did this ad run to me? So it could be, okay, they weren't expecting me to like that program. Or they just had somebody who said, hey, we want you to advertise. And they never stopped to think, okay, we're advertising the hip hop music to my demographic, right?
Right.
There might be some people in my demographic that like hip hop, but they should probably, not count on that.
Absolutely. I experience that all the time where advertisers, a lot of small business owners, they have big egos too, and they want to be seen during programs that they
prime
think
time. My favorite program is, therefore I must advertise during.
Exactly. I love this political person, but wait a minute, your clients don't think like that. They don't.
Right.
That's maybe those are your friends, but is that your target market? So you have to, I found myself having to say, all right, let's pump the brakes. Let's reel it back. Why are you doing this? And then they're like, oh, okay.
Right.
It starts to click a little bit.
Yeah. Years ago, I started my PR career working for the American Cancer Society. Fabulous place to especially to learn your chops, and because we had really good relationships with all of the media. And I remember one time we had a campaign going, and it was breast cancer in younger women. So, 20s and 30s. And, so we go to television station X. At that point, they were required to run a certain number of ads, for free. And so we, and so we're working with them, and they said, okay, we think this should run during our 6 o'clock news, because that's when the most people watch.
Yeah.
And I looked at him and I went, no. And they said, what do you mean? That's the most, it's the most expensive real estate, because that was when the most people were watching. I said, okay, our demographic is cooking dinner then. They're not paying attention to TV, and and all these things. And I said, I want these to run after 10 p.m. And the biggest hits we got were the ones that ran at 2 a.m. because the young moms were up at that time and they were watching TV because there was nothing else to do. And and they were like, really? And so we got like 5 times the amount of space, because who wanted to advertise at 2 a.m. But it was just a matter of knowing who our audience was.
Yep, it's so important. Just to that example, it doesn't matter who many. It matters who. And that's what we're all trying to do.
Right. Now I want to talk paid, because that is what you specialize in. And I always love it when people say, oh, we want to have a Facebook business page because it's free. Okay, yeah, it's free to the point that you're not paying to have it. And I always say, always have a website, all those various things. But I do tell them, okay, it's still your time and your energy. So it's not completely free. But, people think that free is the best way. And then they think the other extreme, well, if we pay, it's going to cost thousands of dollars. So, talk to us about how the average small business person can do a good paid advertising campaign.
Yeah, it is a bit of that pendulum of time versus money. And that's something that I know I struggle with. Every business owner I've ever met, that's the biggest, it's the most important thing, right? Is our time. So when we're looking at kind of creating a campaign for a small business, it largely depends on, again, going back to their goals. Who do you want to reach? How can we reach them? And then creating a strategy for that. Because the organic environment now on Facebook, Instagram it's very difficult to get any exposure at this point. So you either can create partnerships with people through influencers, or you can go the paid route. And I think if you're going to go the paid route, it is important to have these specific measurable goals, whether you're spending $500 a month or $50,000 a month. It's not just about, did this result in a sale? Because again, we're going back to that customer journey. It's creating these micro conversions throughout the process. So maybe in the awareness stage, did we get them to visit our website and stay on there for longer than 15 seconds? And then kind of as we get down, did we get into consideration? Did we get them to visit our pricing page? Cool, that's another conversion.
Did they sign up for our newsletter?
Exactly. It's creating those tangible metrics. And that's something that we do with every client, is we really focus on, okay, what's important? And then maybe how can we, they'll usually give me those big indicators, sales, signups, but how can we create these conversions in between to really zero in on our performance? Because it is the paid advertising game, the less money you have, the more difficult it is. It's unfortunate because you have less data to make decisions. You can't see if something's working as quickly. If I have a client that's spending a lot of money, I can fine tune their campaign in a month.
And you can do A/B, you can do all sorts of different things.
Exactly. So if you're a small business, I recommend trying doing one thing really well. If that's doing some AdWords, or if it's, doing some content creation for your website, and not trying to do too many things at once, because you're going to spread yourself too thin and you'll end up not knowing if anything worked.
So you'll assume nothing did, and you're not going to try it again.
Exactly. And you felt like you've wasted your money because you don't have those metrics to say, oh, this campaign produced these results. Oh, I don't really know if that works. So I think the most important part is setting up those KPIs and then measuring against those, weekly, monthly, whatever, however often you have time to analyze those. I think that's the most important part. And focusing less on, well, I want to be here, I want to be there. Where are your clients? How can I reach them the most effectively?
Right. And whether it's Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, any of the online platforms, you need to be as specific as possible. And they want you to be as specific. They want you to be successful. Let me put it that way, because if you're successful, you do it again. And so, like if you're running an ad on, say, Facebook, and you're going through the demographics, go back to who your avatar is. I always get a kick out of when I see a Facebook ad. I'm like, oh, okay, that's not me. And so they just, may have picked a zip code or, an age, things like that. But yeah, because again, you're saving money. I mean, if your ad is showing to me and, I don't care, then you wasted that money. If you show your ad to the person who might buy your product, it's not a waste of money.
Absolutely. I love it when I see, there's a couple brands that do it really well. They're smaller marketing agencies that, I've partnered with in the past, and I'll see their ad on Facebook or Instagram, and I'll look, I can see how many people have viewed it, and it's, this has only been viewed by maybe 10 people, but I am like,
it's the right
perfect
10
person.
People.
Exactly. I'm like, you guys have it nailed, because you probably, that you didn't spend a lot of money on that. You have your metrics, you're creating these micro conversions, and then retargeting to these audiences too. It's just a real win-win, because it takes, I think it takes like 7 times before someone commits an action at this point. It's really becoming smaller and smaller. And that's really only half the battle, unfortunately, is you got to get them to see your ad, but then it's cool. Now I have them. What can I do now? And if you're taking them to your homepage, that might be the right play. It might not be the right play. It's again, it's going back to your point about being specific. If you are looking for a specific product,
Mhm.
let's say you're looking at, you get an ad for blue shoes,
Mhm.
like these blue, cool Nikes.
Mhm.
They look really great. And then you click on the ad and you're taken to the homepage, and then you start
Yeah.
seeing Adidas, white
Mhm.
Adidas. You're like,
Right.
what is
Or
this? You're going,
shirts, and yeah, you're supposed to search for, well, no, not going to happen.
no, absolutely not. You're gonna leave that site
Mhm.
because your attention span is, we're limited with our
Right.
time.
Mhm.
We only have so much time. We see so many ads. So it's creating that kind
Mhm.
of consistent flow throughout the
Mhm.
process. That's really where the magic happens.
And it's easy to create landing pages. It's just
Hmm.
so easy to create that page where, I see the ad for the blue shoes on Facebook, I click on it, I go to your website, and what comes up
Right.
is the page for the blue shoes.
Yes.
Now, the smart person is going to say, now to go along with those blue shoes, you need red socks. And then they're going to start
Yeah.
guiding you through that process. But yeah, if I get to the website and I have to search for those blue
Hmm.
shoes, no. Mm-mm.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. If there's any sort of disconnect, then it kind of, it destroys credibility. And again, we don't have time for that.
Right.
So.
Now, you talk about, we have to have data. And I think that is
Mhm.
probably the you absolutely have to have it. I mean, you do. You absolutely have to have it. But I think it's one of the least things. I mean, we kind of mentioned it. I just want more clients. I want,
Mhm.
okay, no, no, no. How many more clients and all of those things. And so
Yeah.
talk to us about why data is absolutely, positively must have, can't live without.
Yeah. I think for me, it's so important because it influences all of the decisions that we make. And I think going back to emotion,
Mhm.
you can use this data to test these emotional triggers.
Mhm.
I work with a divorce attorney firm, and we've tested various creative, whether it's fear or if it's anger or if it's at peace, creating kind of these peaceful resolutions. And you're able to test that using data to find out what's going to work.
Mhm.
So, and what we've seen is that it's hard to make assumptions, and you
Mhm.
can't really, you have these assumptions, but you need to test them. You need the
Mhm.
data. We, in the case of the divorce attorney, all of his competitors were using kind of anger and fear. I see these ads for
Mhm.
like when the ring comes
What's
off, the
going to
glove
happen
comes
to
off.
my kids? Right?
Exactly.
Mhm.
Like we're gonna
Mhm.
take every dime from your spouse.
Mhm.
And I have conversations with him, and it's just, that's not his
Mhm.
how he wants to run his firm. That's not him. And we actually tested some ads, and those performed terribly. The ones that performed well were that we're going to create kind of a smooth transition. Everything's going to be fine. We're going to put you at peace. We're
Mhm.
here on your side.
Right.
So I wouldn't have known that without kind of having these data
Mhm.
decisions and having these systems in place. And we live in a great time because it's it's not that difficult to set
Mhm.
them up. Products like
Right.
Google Analytics are
Mhm.
free.
Mhm.
Um, I understand that how you interpret that data requires
Oh
a
yeah,
certain level of
yeah.
skill,
Uh,
but getting them set up at least so that
mhm.
way, if you do decide to work with a marketer, or if you work with an agency, or you hire someone, you have that data tracking, recording all the
Mhm.
time, because you can gain so much insights
Mhm.
from your website, from your social media account. And then if you want to start advertising, you have a huge advantage because you have all this data
Mhm.
ready to go. So that's why I think it's absolutely
Mhm.
critical.
Right. And we tell people, how do you know if you reach a goal if you don't know what the goal is,
Right.
and how to get there? It's kind of, I must be wanting to go on a road trip because I keep thinking about cars. How do you know when you get in the car and start driving if you're there, if you didn't know where your there was going to be?
Yeah. And that's so true. And
Mhm.
sometimes you might set these goals and they're
Mhm.
completely unrealistic.
Right.
I one of my favorite books is Traction, by Gino Wickman. And
Mhm.
I've been using this for my business, and I was setting some very specific, tangible goals for Q1, where I
Mhm.
wanted to have a certain number of meetings. I wanted to create X amount of blog
Mhm.
content. I wanted to have all these things, and I think I came up with 6 goals. And as I'm
Mhm.
looking through it, I'm like, oh wow, it doesn't sound like a lot,
Mhm.
but I'm reading the book, and they're like, this is what's going to happen. You're going to
Mhm.
set all these goals for your
Mhm.
first quarter that you go through this process.
Mhm.
And then the next quarter, you're probably going to set 5. And the next one, you're going to set 3.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really
because
being
you fine tune it
hyper-focused on a few things and doing them well. And that's where the magic happens. So I love that process. I recommend that book to all my clients. And we go through it, and we'll talk about how I fit, how my team can fit in your marketing piece of, how does this marketing decision affect your sales process? Because it's really all tied in together. And that's another thing that I love is I love not looking at marketing and sales as different silos. They're really very much, they should be in sync, and we have to think about them the same way.
Right. And people need to stop making faces when we say you're in sales. You're in sales, but yeah, they are definitely a partnership, because you can't have one without the other. And then you put R&D, all of those various other things in there, it's just absolutely critical to have all those pieces together.
Absolutely. I know, during my time in the corporate world, I was working in the marketing department. We would butt head with sales all the time, and that was good. I think through conflict, we learned a lot about each other, but at the same time, we still looked at our departments as separate, and we had different goals. But I'm a marketing guy, but at the end of the day, without sales, I realized that I'm not needed. So we have to be on the same team.
Yeah, we can market the living daylights out of a product, but if nobody buys it, it's not going to matter.
And it's that same process of when a salesperson is selling a product. What communication strategies are they using? Are they how do we generate interest? How do we generate desire? These are things that on your landing page or in your ads that you really need to be thinking about, is getting deep into those psychological triggers that are available.
Right. And it is about that teamwork thing. I always think about Super Bowl ads. I don't think they get the salespeople involved in those at all, because the Super Bowl ad is designed to catch people's attention, and they spend millions of dollars to do it. Right. And I always wonder just how successful those actually were in converting. Now, some of them are awareness. I mean, I think Budweiser would probably be a great example of, we're getting awareness, and people know, okay, the Clydesdales and the cute story about the puppy and all that's Budweiser. We're not wondering, is it Coors? Is it, some other thing? We know it's Budweiser. But, there are so many times where you see it, and whether it's a print ad, whether it's, Facebook, all of those various things, the marketing people went, ooh, this is pretty. Oh, we could win an award. We can win an award on this, right? And the salespeople are like, but back to your farmers, our people, the people we're selling to don't even have smartphones.
Agreed. Yeah. And I think I look back at this last Super Bowl, and I remember that Coinbase commercial where it's the QR code bouncing around the screen.
Right.
I'm like, this is a company, they're not doing so well right now, but this is a company that understands their target market, that is, they have their cell phone ready, and they could track exactly how many people clicked on that QR code. I'm like, that's pretty cool. And people were, created that buzz afterwards too.
Right.
So some guys do it right.
Yeah. And there's easy ways to be able to track even some of that stuff. I remember way back when we didn't have internet and we didn't do all of those things, we would run campaigns and give different phone numbers. And that was a very easy way for us to know, okay, they saw this ad, they called this number. They saw this ad, they called this number. Okay, this one worked, that one didn't. And same thing now with just being able to track, okay, they clicked on that, went to this landing page, or they did this. I mean, there's so many ways to be able to track it that are pretty simple now, and always have been.
Yes, it's so true. And right now I'm working with a lot of B2B businesses where the sales cycle is longer and the products are more expensive. So it's so imperative to track each stage of the process, because that's how you know that things are working, and you can pivot more, more quickly if they aren't.
Right. And it's funny, we talk about goals, and I always remember, that in marketing and in various other places, we're told to have your BHAGs, right? Your big, hairy, audacious goals. And those are kind of your pie in the sky type of things, right? And we want people to dream about, okay, I'm going to have a yacht, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that.
Right.
But then they forget that they've got to have the little goals in between.
Yes.
And so and they have to change. I mean,
Hmm.
what were your goals 5 years ago? I'm guessing they changed when the world shut down, right?
Absolutely. And then it's breaking those goals down into creating habits too, which is like a huge part of my life. And I think it's helped myself, and I've it's helped a lot of my entrepreneur friends as well, is building those successful habits. It's setting that goal, and then strategically, how can I get to that goal?
Mhm.
And it's creating, and then setting up those micro goals in between that really, then you're at the end of the year and like, oh, I reached my goal. How did I do it? Oh, well, I had, I set a goal to have one meeting every week, and I did that. And then, my revenue was up
Mhm.
50%. This is great.
Right. Right. And and as we said, they have to be flexible. I mean,
Mhm.
2.5 years ago, we would have said we're going to go to X number of networking events and conferences per month, per week, per whatever.
Right.
I haven't been to an in-person thing since February of 2020. Will I go back to them? Sure, but just not
Mhm.
now. And so I had to pivot to say, okay, I'm going to do X number of online types of things. You and I met on Lunch
Yep.
Club, and so it's just a matter of switching stuff around. And I think, unfortunately, what we saw in some of the cases when businesses failed during the
Mhm.
pandemic, it was because they could not change. They might
Mhm.
still have been saying, maybe they were a restaurant, we're going to serve 200 people a night. We're going to do it no matter what.
Mhm.
And it's like, no, you're going to have 5 people that go through the drive-through.
Yep.
And so, you can ramp back up to those big numbers, but hey, your light just went out.
Okay.
And
Lights are back.
I love it for everybody that's just listening.
For
All
real.
of a sudden, poor Andre was in the dark.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, those goals have got to be flexible and they have got to
Mhm.
change. And the faster we realize it, I think that's the other thing with so many people. And gotta love it when we were initially told 2 weeks, we're shutting everything down for 2 weeks, and every
Yeah.
person went, we all knew it was good, but we had no idea how long. I mean, a couple
Yeah.
months. I don't think anybody in March of 2020 would have thought that 2 years, 2+ years later, we were still going to be dealing with a lot of what we're dealing with now. And so, to make those changes, you might have
Mhm.
held off a little bit, but you still had to make those changes.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm in 100% agreement with you. I was similar to you. I was in a lot of in-person networking groups, and this was COVID was horrific, and it did hurt a lot of people's businesses, but to think of the positive side, it's created all these online communities where we're more willing to do business with
Mhm.
people we've never met before. My
Right.
my biggest client, I've only met them in person twice, and we signed a deal without ever meeting in person.
Right.
I don't think that would have happened pre-COVID. So I think
Right.
it's created some opportunities, and
Mhm.
through that we met on Lunch Club. I've started a mastermind
Mhm.
called Market Mastery, and we focus on helping product managers and marketing managers solve problems. So
Mhm.
it's kind of a once a month thing, and we
Right.
get right down to business, and we
Mhm.
it's almost like therapy for
Right.
marketers and product
Mhm.
managers.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's
You were
opportunity.
telling me about it. It sounds like such a cool group because they all come with a problem. And it's,
Hmm.
okay, we're going to solve this problem. And of course, the thing about doing it digitally is, now they can be from wherever. So you can pick and choose. You don't, if say you might have conflicts of interest, okay, then you have two different
Hmm.
groups. I mean, it's very easy to be able to pivot. I hate that word, right? And aren't we all tired of that
Yeah.
word?
Yeah, a
But
little bit.
yeah, but it allowed us to expand. And I think we would have gotten there, but
Hmm.
obviously COVID made us do it overnight.
Yeah, we really had to ramp things up quickly,
Right.
and it was, yeah, it's
Mhm.
been an opportunity.
Right. And again, as marketing people, we had to totally rethink how we were going to do things. How were we going to get people the messages? I mentioned that we bought a pickup. I bought a pickup right in the middle of
Hmm.
COVID, right? Which means no test driving because they weren't going to sanitize it every time.
Wow.
And so you were supposed to look on the websites. Okay. that worked if their inventory was correct. Because I certainly wasn't going to get in, my car and go toddling down there and then have them say, "Oh,
Mhm.
sorry, we don't even have those in stock anymore." And so they had to ramp up to do real online chats, not the AIs, not the, now the AIs were good to be able to say, "Okay, what are you looking for? Sedan, minivan, whatever,"
Mhm.
and then get you to a real person. But, we had to be able to have those conversations that we would have had in person. We had to be able to do them online. And a lot of companies just weren't able to do that.
Right. It's that personalized touch that we desperately still we will always want that. We want
Mhm.
that. We want to feel
Mhm.
heard and communicated to. And you're right. Some companies did it really well, and some
Mhm. Right.
unfortunately didn't.
And we're okay with it being AI, as long as we know that.
Mhm.
We keep mentioning that we met on Lunch Club. And it's the platform sets up meetings for people Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays. Mondays and Tuesdays are actually better for me, for my schedule. And so I
Mm.
go into their little chat thing and I fire that off. Now I knew I was going to get an automated response. So I wrote
Right.
my question very simple, very basic, and I got a very simple, very basic response that said, "For right now, we're focusing on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday." I'm like, yeah. And then it said, "But we will consider moving to and it was but then it said, if you want to continue the discussion,
Mhm.
a real person, I mean, I forget how they worded it, but they basically said a real person will now participate. And so I did. I responded and I said, I am curious as to why, and they responded and they said, it's just we can only do so much. And so we picked
Mhm.
those 3 days because, and they've got a very sophisticated algorithm that sets up the
Mhm.
scheduling. I've always been very impressed with that. But yeah, I mean, I got the AI. I knew I was getting the automated response, but then I was given the option. Do you want to talk to a real person?
Right. I think that's the most important part is, when some chatbots still do it where they,
Mhm.
they kind of allude that they're a real person, but they're
Hello,
not.
this is Ruth.
Yeah.
Uh-uh.
No, be authentic, be real.
Right.
And chatbots can be very, like in this case, that was exactly the service that you probably
Mhm.
expected. And
Right.
they did it right.
Mhm. Well, and I've seen them where they've said, "Hey, this is Ruth, the automated response system." you
Yeah.
know and so okay, but yeah, it's interesting how these things are evolving,
Mhm.
and like I said, I think it would have gotten there, but it was like, okay, this has to happen now.
Yep. I think it sped us up
Hmm.
5, 10 years in the way we communicate.
Right. And even brick and mortar places had to figure out, how in the heck are we going to deal with this? Because, of
Mhm.
course, the biggest question, are you open?
Yeah.
I mean, that really was probably the biggest question that most of these places were going to get is, are you open? Especially in the
Mhm.
first couple months. And if I couldn't tell from their website, their Facebook page, their whatever, and if I called and got voicemail, the assumption was they're closed, even if
100%.
it said something, and so yeah, yeah, those places needed to have, even if it was just, somebody answering the phone and saying, "Hey, we'll get back to you," but
Right.
or we are open, and then but
Yeah.
this is the automated system because
Ex-
but yeah, it was, and that comes back to knowing who your audience is.
mhm.
What type of information do they want, and when do they want it, and how do they want it?
Exactly. Right. And I think back to a lot of the restaurants during COVID too. And now, even now, where we're so used to using the QR code.
Mhm.
Um, but again, it's like you have to know your audience.
Mhm.
If it's a fancy 5-star restaurant, you probably aren't going to take
No.
out your
Mm-mm.
QR code,
Mhm.
right? Or if
Or
it's
one
a,
that targets, say, senior citizens. My
yep,
mom
I
always goes,
know.
"What's that little checkerboardy thing?"
Yes, exactly. So it's, yeah, knowing your audience, you're a millennial or a Gen Z or,
Mhm.
Gen X, they're going to be
Mhm.
probably fine with it. Maybe we'll grumble a little bit,
Mhm.
just because that's human nature,
Right.
but change can be
Mhm.
difficult. But
Mhm.
again, knowing your audience and providing that a level of service that
Mhm.
you expect.
Right. Right. And it comes back to exactly what you were saying before. The easiest way to figure that out is to ask.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah,
and
and there's so many tools available. You can
mhm.
conduct surveys with your clients, email. SurveyMonkey is a free platform. We can use these things.
Right. And it's just, that's simple, is to be able to say, how do you want this? And if possible, offer multiple options. I think probably medical care would be one of the ones that is, something where, obviously in most part, we went to virtual visits. Some people think those are the greatest things in the world. Some people are like, nah, I want to be seen. So if you're able, offer both. And it's always interesting when places do that. Same thing with, it comes back to the old dine in, take home. Restaurants figured that one out a long time ago.
Yeah. And like, to kind of circle back to the data thing, is you have, even if maybe you don't have website data, you don't have, if you have clients, you have so much information. Go back to your ex-clients.
Right.
Ask them what they like about you. Ask them what they don't like about you. Ask them to refer you. It's such a like a gold mine of information and potential new business that I see a lot of companies leave on the table. Is ignoring those pre-existing relationships that you can take to the next level.
Because we can spend a gazillion dollars on ads, but I'll see a Facebook post from a total stranger saying, "Oh my God, you should." I'm like, okay.
Yeah, right. Again, going back to that, how do we create trust? How do we create credibility? If it comes from someone else, it means 10 times, 1,000 times more than it does coming from you, right? Because, we
of course we're going to say biases. We're the greatest thing in the world.
Exactly. But if you have someone else that says that for you, that's where the magic happens.
Right.
And you can get creative with it. If you don't have a lot of clients, there's ways to do it. We all have experiences. We have, especially for like new entrepreneurs, if you create a new business that was spun off of something you did before, well, go back to your old clients at your old job. Maybe ask them for referrals or ask them for testimonials. There's a lot of different ways to build up your brand before you really have one.
Right. Yeah. Even if they're just saying, "Oh my gosh, Andre is the greatest guy in the world to work with. He meets his deadlines. He, communicates well." It doesn't matter what you're doing. People go, "Oh, okay. Yeah."
Agreed. It's that level of trust that, okay, this is a real person. They care. They have a track record of success.
Right. And that brings up the, okay, you're also going to get negatives. Deal with those too. I always tell my clients, because, every once in a while we get the negative people for whatever reason. I mean, no business is perfect.
Right.
And so, the first thing is like, "Oh my God, we can't respond. Oh, this is awful." And it's like, no. Now granted, there are some times where you don't, you cannot respond. There might be a legal reason, things like that. Sometimes it's just somebody decided they were going to vent and you bore the brunt of it. But if at all possible, I tell my clients, we have to respond. We have to acknowledge, because that's really all we want, right? If I'm complaining about something, I want somebody to say, "Hey, we heard you." We might not be able to fix it, but we heard you.
Right. Yeah. I think a negative review provides a ton of information.
Far more sometimes than the positives, right?
Absolutely. I always, that's the first thing I ask is, when I start with someone, is what are your top objections? What are some of your negative reviews saying? Because we can address them in the future on our landing page, on our, how we communicate, how can we fix our process so this doesn't happen again, is something that we really can't ignore. It sucks. It hurts when someone says you're not good,
right.
but
they don't love us.
Yeah. But what's the opportunity? How can we deal with that? It's not inherently bad. It's your judgment on the situation that makes it bad.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you have 5 people that say it took them too long to answer the phone, then it's taken too long to answer the phone. And so figure out, okay, what do we do? Even if you just get the "hello, please hold," I'm like, oh, okay, well, at least there's somebody there. But you figure out those, and people hate failure. But that is where we get our best information.
Yeah, that struggle, that conflict is where the real magic happens.
Right.
Definitely agree with that.
Oh my gosh, Andre, we are almost at the top of the hour. It's always so much fun talking marketing because it goes back to my roots. And I tell people, yeah, I was doing this before Al Gore invented the internet. Um, but it is still all the same thing. I mean, you have to know who you're selling to. You have to know what is their pain point, and it could be
Mhm.
pleasure point also. I mean, we get caught up in the what's causing them pain.
Absolutely.
Well, okay, maybe they're buying a luxury car because it's not because there's a pain point, it's because they're buying the luxury car. So
Mhm.
what are those? So yeah, marketing has not changed. Not when caveman were trying to sell square rocks, to put on things to make
Mhm.
them go somewhere. Somebody probably went, wait a minute, what if we make them round? And let's ask, hey, will people buy these? So it's always been there. So if somebody wants to work with you, first of all, tell us
Mhm.
what services you offer and then how they reach you.
Yeah. So services we offer are marketing strategy. So anything from, and this is where we work with businesses of all sizes, where we can take a look at kind of what you're doing
Mhm,
and analyze, is this working for you? Should you be doing something different? How
mhm,
can we go forward? And then tactically, we really specialize in helping clients reach the right audiences on Google through
mhm,
engine optimization. And by that, I mean, not just getting a million people clicking on your website, it's getting the right people clicking
mhm.
on your website with the right keywords. That strategy, really a long-term play there. And then digital advertising specifically focused on lead generation. How can we get more clients in the door?
Cool.
And
I
then
love it.
you can reach us at synthesisinsights.com. And we also offer the marketing market mastery roundtable. That's
Mhm,
marketmasteryroundtable.com. That's specifically targeted towards marketing managers and product managers, where it's almost like therapy. It's
mhm,
free. Anyone can join. It's an hour each month where we
mhm.
just figure out, we solve problems.
Perfect. I love it. I love it. This really has been, as I was saying, it's fun. It's fun to get back to our roots, right? And really be talking about those things that are, if we're not doing them, we're not going to be successful.
Mhm.
And so that's why we want to talk about this. Do you have any final thoughts that you want to leave everyone with?
Yeah, I think for businesses of any size, try not to get caught up in the latest tactic. Focus on the problem that you're solving. Think about things from your client's perspective. Don't get caught up in your features and benefits. That's the main thing that we focus on, and that's how we create campaigns that work.
Perfect. I love it. Well, I've been having just an absolutely delightful time. Can't wait to do it again. We'll have you on again because I think everybody needs a refresher on this, right? And so I'm Deb Creer. I've been speaking with André Rosdahl from Synthesis Insights. And until next time, everyone have a great day.
Tune in for our next program for even more trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. The Business Power Hour, hosted by Deb Creer, is proud to be part of the C-Suite Network.